So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about your deck, right? So I want you to go through your deck. Let's kind of talk a little bit about, your run, kind of explain how the deck works. What are some good counters to it? What makes the deck not be counterable? And like, what are you not excited to see versus excited to see against?
Well, so this is like the deck that won out in Norwich, England, um, where they just have 30 cards that cost 3, right? So I guess I'll run through it real quick. It's for this zone is double Force Throw, double Hotshot Blaster, triple Spark, triple C3PO, triple Grogu, and then the massive run of 3-cost things is triple Yoda, triple Jedi Lightsaber, triple Azra, triple the 3-cost Falcon, triple Concord Dawn Interceptors, triple Village Protectors, triple DJ, triple Tack, triple Perilous Position, triple Waylay, and then at the top end you have triple Luke, triple Han, and double Redemption. In the side, it is double Takedown, double Fell the Dragon, double Change of Heart, double Rivals Fall, and then double Home 1, so you can have 4 colors in your deck at once. But it actually it lets you get back into games with a lot of restore if you need it, and there's also a big 7 attack space unit, which is huge. But yeah, it's just C3PO with like the consistency of calling the 3-cost units lets you mitigate like Han's normal issues of he destroys his own hand to play more resources. So with C3PO, it can continue drawing more stuff. And with blue, you get a whole bunch of other anti-aggro things because you have Restore with like Yoda, and the Jedi lightsabers are real nasty. And then you have the Concord Dawns, the Village Protectors, and dropping Luke on turn 4 is really good. Usually you could take out something half the time they kill your own unit, so you're taking out whatever their biggest one is. And then you can swing and restore, and it's just really hard to to go against. And it's a lot of fun to play. It's kind of what like drew me to the deck, is that there's just a whole bunch of crazy different lines that you have to make the right decisions for in order to play. But also the math works out really cool. Like if they just stop your Han turn on the flip, like with like a Perilous or something, or they exhaust them, you're at 6 resources and you can play most of your deck. 2 cards from most of your deck. It gets weird things like if you're at 5, you can smuggle out DJ, play Han, and then swing with Han, and then you're up to 3 resources if you stole an unexhausted one. So then you can play another card, usually like an Ezra or something. It's also really, really strong. You can resource DJ like I did against you. You have 4 resources. You Han to 5 for the DJ, then you can smuggle them out, steal one, that brings you up to 6, and then you can flip Han, swing in, and then play like a Grogu or a C3PO or Spark after that. And that's like turn 3, which is really, really nasty. So, yeah, I didn't like, I lost to Tim. He was running his Cad Bane Tarkin Town. That's a pretty strong deck. Like, it just, the way he plays it is just like he just drops it down that just hits you until you just can't really do too much. He just usually out efficiencies you. But I don't feel like I auto lose that matchup. I did have to play. I played you twice, Tanner, and then I also played another Yellow Palpatine. So I played Yellow Pal 3 times. I don't feel like this is bad into that matchup, or not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Like, it doesn't feel bad at all into the matchup. It feels more like a 50-50 kind of thing. But yeah, that game in Swiss against the other Yellow Pal, I had to like smuggle out my Falcon, hit for 3, waylay it back, put it back down, and hit for another 3 for lethal. So it was just like, we're in the extreme late game. We're just trying to do stuff right now. But yeah, like first turn Grogu really hoses a lot of aggro decks. And then if you want to, you just put a lightsaber on him, and now he just kills anything that has 5 health. And if he can't, then he can just tap him down. It's really hard to deal with. Or you could play like Yoda first turn if you have a lightsaber, and then he's just really, really hard to deal with at 5/7 restore 2. or Ezra. First turn play is really good with Ezra because everything costs 3, so you're not playing stuff out of your hand, so you build up the hand advantage again. Because there's, I played against like an Obi Tarkentown, and I think over the course of like 2 turns, it was like a double pillage force throw, and I'm like, I still have 4 cards in hand. Like that's not doing much. Especially if you have a tech out, then you can just smuggle whatever because everything costs 5. So, I don't know. I might add a third redemption to the sideboard at some point. The home ones are fun, but maybe a little too excessive.
Yeah, I mean, you did hit more resources, at least against me. The first time we played, you hit a lot of resources. And I think against that Django Tarkin town that you played, I think you hit quite a few resources for that. So you like that's the funny thing
it'll
about
go up to like 9-10 resources,
Yeah.
like easy, especially with DJ. It's essentially ramping, and you just keep throwing down your smuggle cards the whole time, right? Like you don't need the hotshot blasters, you don't need the extra copies of DJs or tax or whatever. So I'm just sitting there with like a ton of resources, and then I can play 3 or 4 cards a turn because they all are super cheap.
Yeah. And I think that's the fun, the one thing I believe I saw you do this. I don't know if it was against me or somebody else, but you played the C3PO, you play Ezra, right? And then the next turn you can like swing with Ezra and then look at the top card of your deck. And if it's a 3, then you could just leave it on there if you don't want to play it, because then you can just draw it with C3PO. It's like crazy. It's like the Yoda peeking is what that is, right? Like that's what that is Yoda peeking without being plain, Yoda.
Yeah, it works well if you've seen a lot of like your 3-cost cards, and you're like, I'm gonna swing in with Ezra, make sure it's not like a Luke or on, and then you can swing in C3PO because the top part of your decks are gonna get it no matter what.
Yeah.
Top table shockingly bad at calling 3 with C3PO. It was almost never a 3. It was really impressive against the Quinlan ECL. I think I hit once in the first game. Like it was just I just never hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild deck. It's super crazy. It's very fun to play. I had a lot of fun with this deck.
So the question is, what decks are you more scared of with this deck? So obviously it's Han, so it automatically gets a boost, and then it gets another boost because it's got DJ and Tech in it, so you can do the DJ Tech combos if that's what you really want to do, for it. And which is hilarious because everybody's running scanning officers, and if everybody just did what you did with that while playing Han, people would stop running scanning officers, and you wouldn't have to do that anymore. Like you would just be like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore.
So remember how you're just like, hey, Alex, what are you going to bring to the PQ? And I'm just like, I'm literally the worst person to ever ask this question. So I started playing this on Friday. Our PQ was Saturday. I played maybe about 10 games, maybe 11 or so before the PQ. So I don't know what decks that I think I have a terrible, terrible matchup into. That Quinlan ECL deck very much wrecked it. So anything, I guess, that goes really wide but also is able to like handle what I'm doing. But I feel like that's like every deck. If they go really wide and also handle your opponent's stuff, it's really good. I don't feel bad in aggro at all. Generally, space is a little bit weak in this, but like that's what the perilous positions are for usually, and the waylays are just like for the space units and Grogu. Yeah, I'm not certain. But I guess anything that can effectively kind of control my board, but not like single target removal, not like hard control, but like maybe stuff that exhausts. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that many games with this deck to know what is terrible against.
Yeah.
And my losses were to the Quinlan deck, which I think will beat it 100% of the time, and then you and Cad Bane Tarkentown. But the Cad Tarkentown one was a lot more of a cool, I don't have anything to play. I'm going to put this lightsaber on my tech because I had to play tech on turn 1 because I had no turn 1 plays. And then, the Bazines. I guess maybe like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe like a really, really aggressive like it's probably not good in the like Crispy's Fennec deck, right? I'm sure that can just run through it a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't. I'm sorry. I wish I could provide a little bit better explanation for this, but I just simply don't have any reps with it really,
All right.
so I don't know what it loses to.
Sure. All right, so why don't we go through your run real quick? Like, I think that's kind of an important thing. You know, like we talked a little bit about the deck, we talked a little bit about that. Why don't we talk a little bit about your run and like some of the decks you played, and ones you felt like this was like an auto win against, and ones that you're like, okay, I had to actually think a little bit more.
Well, every round that I won, it was 2-0, and maybe a couple of those games were kind of close, like against the Palpello. Yeah, I just played a bunch of like wild stuff. You know how I'm just like all my locals have crazy things. I felt like kind of a local thing because like my first opponent was doing a Wookiee tribal yellow Chewbacca deck. I think I was the first person done, and I don't think it literally took more than 10 minutes combined for both of our games. It was kind of embarrassing. I killed him before like that's like 6 resources for him. So yeah, it's just probably not a good matchup into him, especially when you just attach a lightsaber to Yoda and literally kill every single thing that Chewbacca puts for a Sentinel without taking damage, or maybe one, but you have 8 health or 7 health. So, the second game was against you. Should have played a little bit better in the first and third games. Should have just played the redemption instead of like resourcing it to play C3PO for no reason. But I'm sure you can go over that one. Third game was actually against one of my locals. He's running Blue Java. So it's like kind of control. Yeah, Blue Java. He doesn't really use Java's ability too much, but he does like the flip turn capture thing. And it's got actually it's a ton of Sentinels in there. Like almost every card is like a Sentinel. He's running like the 4-cost 3/4 space Sentinel in blue, like even. So it's kind of crazy, and it's just like you stall the game out, and then you just win in the end game. It actually beat my buddy Sandeep. He's running Quinlan Tarkentown. He like lost to the Jabba deck.
Yep.
Just because like it stalls it out.
Yeah, that guy sat next to me round one, and like I was like sitting next to there. I look over and I'm like, "That's Jabba," and he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "All right."
He's actually been running Java like on and off for several months. So like good on Paul. And then up next was Obi-Wan Tarkentown, which is a lot of. I told you I played a bunch of crazy decks.
That's like what? Who's running that? Who's running that?
I mean, we're both like 2-1 at the time. Like he finished like decently, because it's a lot of like a lot of like red like Ray. It's kind of like that, except for you heal your unit, so it's really good into things like Quinlan and Cad. But you still have the hand destruction kind of aspects, and then it is super anti-aggro. He had like even like the Nema outpost constables because of the 2/6, but you can just keep healing them with Obi-Wan, so they just stick around. So that was a really cool deck. Up next was the second yellow Palpatine. I've seen this guy around actually. I think he's out of Ann Arbor area, and the games were kind of like grindy, but like we weren't playing like slow. It's just like, well, you play this. Oh, well, I play this and blow that up. It's like, cool, I blow that one up. I'm like, okay, next turn. But he didn't have any scanning officers, so that helps. But yeah, it was just like those were some wild games. Like the board states.
Was he running more of like the bounty hunter version? Because like so there's two versions of yellow pelt that kind of been floating around, like the separatist thing that I was on, and then there's like a bounty hunter version, which is like a little bit more anti-aggro, because it has like tons of ambush and it's just it's like I'm gonna ambush and kill you versus ramp.
Yeah, no, I would say it's actually very close to yours, which is some minor changes like here and there. It doesn't have like the separatist commandos, but it's a lot of like Poggle. But it's very focused on ramping, which is very understandable. I did just like my Palpatine experience. I'm like, I'm gonna spark a rebellion first, and then dump the resupply out of his hand when he's at 7 resources. You're like, I'm not falling for that trick. We're gonna get that out of here. And then the round after that was against not a local, but like a guy that I like playing. I see him around occasionally. His name's Mike. He's running Sabine ECL, but he also main decks General's Blade in that Sabine ECL. So that was wild. We're just like, oh, okay, some big units here. Hold on to these waylays. And that, like I said, I don't think I have a terrible matchup into aggro like that. And one turn I did manage to DJ him before you at 4 resources before he could bring out Sabine.
Yeah.
It was like I had the initiative first action. I just slapped down. I think it was actually DJ from my hand into the resources, which is what you do, by the way. If you're at 4 resources, you're going up to 5 anyways to smuggle out DJ. You just keep them in your hand, and then slap them down with the Han resource, and then he had to take care of something on the board, or no, I think he played like a rebel assault. I think was what it was. So he swung with his 2 units, and then I DJ'd him, so he couldn't bring out Sabine. And it was just like, oh, wild. And I'm like, cool, now I can bring out Hod and then swing in and then drop like a Grogu or a Spark or something like that. So that was a wild game. And then I played Tim and I got demolished by Cat Tarkatown. I did not have any cards to do anything against it, and he just snowballs from there. As much fun, as good as waylaying a Cad Bane unit is back. It doesn't really do much. And ultimately, he just plays the next turn and does the same exact thing, and I'm still out those units. So,
Yep.
That was that. That was all the Swiss. Like I said, I did 2-0 all my opponents that I won. I took 1 game off of you, and then Tim swept me, which he was very happy about because he only loses to me. He does incredibly well in a lot of tournaments. But for some reason, whenever he plays me, it'll be his 1 loss, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't even realize I'm creating a Batman out of you, man. My bad. An nemesis or something. So that was a good run. I just wanted to go 4-3 was my goal. Ended up 5-2 top 8ing, and then top 4ing. So that's way beyond any of my expectations.
Yep.
And dreams, I guess. So that was wild.
Well, all right. JJ, do you have any questions about the deck? Anything you want to
JJ should play this deck. It's wild.
Was there any cards outside of your sideboard that you considered coming in that just didn't make the cut?
Well, I did copy this from the Norwich England PQ win, so I just straight copied it and add another force throw for a little bit more consistency with that.
That's fair.
But like I said, maybe swap out the home ones, add a redemption, and something else. I was actually considering a Cad Bane unit, which I think would be pretty spicy. Because I can probably consistently hit up to the 9 resources or whatever. Also, part of me wants to just be I'm just gonna play this Devastator for 14. But I'm not gonna do that.
If you had played a Devastator at 14 against me, I probably would have walked away at that point. I'd been like, all right, screw you. You're not a villain. You're not allowed to do this.
I'm just looking at something weird like that. I wouldn't want to do Super Laser Blast, but it'd be kind of cool to just be I pay 10 for this Avenger. But I'm thinking just Cad Bane unit, honestly. A 3rd redemption and possibly a one-off Cad. Just because I think that'd be kind of cool, and then it would remove space threats if I'm not in space or something like that. Or a one-off home one, right? It's whatever to me. Yeah, it's just it's a very unassuming deck. But man, does it go wide out of nowhere, right? Because you generally just play 2 cards a turn, and a lot of them just deal with threats.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And a
All
whole
right.
bunch of lightsabers are like what are you gonna do? Or even like a hot shot blaster on Han, who swings for 8, he pretty much kills everything.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex. That was a very thorough rundown for our Han Blue. For anybody that wants to check it out, you can check out our podcast. We do this all the time. So yeah, you're welcome. We talk about decks, like that's what we do. And actually, that gave us a disadvantage, which I'll get into in a minute. When I talk about my run, because I have I guarantee you, I had a disadvantage, not just because Alex isn't even a bloody local of mine. We don't even actually play each other
That was the
that
first time we
much.
played was at that tournament.
Yeah. So it's not that we play a lot, but we talk a lot through things, and that's like when I have discussions and things like that I want to do, like usually it's through Alex and JJ before anybody else. Like so that's just like I talk to Alex all the time. So it's just kind of weird. We got paired up against each other. But
Twice.
twice, yeah. So anyway, so thank you for your Han Blue analysis.